Okay, we'll begin now. I'm Jerry Garfinkel. I'm the treasurer of the Jewish Study Center. And as such, I want to tell you that first of all, this is being recorded. And after the presentation is over, I'll send a link to the recording to everyone who's registered. Our teachers are always, or usually at least, free. Our classes are free. Our classes are always free. And our instructors and our debaters today, even our moderator, are very entertaining. But we do have expenses. And so we encourage people to donate to us. If you want to donate to us, you go on our website, www.jewishstudycenter.org, and you click on donate, and you can donate via credit card or your PayPal account, or you can write a check to us. If you click on check, then the website will give you the address on where to send your check. Also, I have enabled the closed captioning. So if you have hard of hearing or you don't understand some of our accents, like my old New York accent, you can look at the transcript. The transcript is mostly correct, but sometimes it isn't. And the other thing is, I mentioned it earlier, everybody is going to be muted. Please put comments in the chat box and address them to everyone. Someone will take your comment and comment on that. So it might be best to do it to everyone. That's it, I guess, for what I want to say. And I'll introduce now our vice president, our president, Amy Schwartz, who will be the, who introduced today's program. Hi, Amy, you're on.
Hi, everyone. Happy the night before Purim. Chag Erev Purim Sameach, I guess I should say. Welcome to the Jewish Study Center's, to the Jewish Study Center. I'm Amy Schwartz, the president, unless I've been downgraded, surprisingly, by Jerry. And I want to welcome you to our favorite night of the Jewish Study Center year. It is the most delicious of our events. It's the most fattening of our events. Oh, actually, I guess it's not. The one good thing about doing this on Zoom, aside from having access to a more sort of illustrious, wide range of participants, the one good thing is this debate is entirely calorie free, which might be a good thing, might be a bad thing. So we do hope to send you off into the night ravenous for tomorrow's holiday, at least if you're one of those Hamantashen people. I'm not allowed to express a preference, of course, so I won't say anything further than that. May the best snack food prevail. Special greeting to our longtime teachers, supporters, contributors, students who have followed us all these years and even onto Zoom. We have actually, as you may have noticed, the Study Center's actually had a pretty good pandemic, if you can have such a thing. We flourished on Zoom, and we're happy to still offer a robust schedule of classes. You can find it if you look at the website. I know the website's been a little laggy, but keep trying. Also, an extra special welcome to our many new friends who came in through the Great Howard and all these wonderful participants, some of whom have shared their lists. Thank you. That gives me a, so the Study Center has an illustrious history for those who are new, having offered classes for many years in the DC area and having actually brought the Latke Hamantash debate tradition to this area, must be about 40 years ago now. It started in Chicago when our founder of blessed memory, Max Tickton, and his friends at University of Chicago Hillel in the 1940s were looking for something for the undergraduates to do around Hanukkah, when everything was Christmassy, and it's flourished ever since then, both on and offline. and we are happy to, this year is sure to be the best yet. And that brings me to my happy duty to introduce the incomparable Howard Mortman. There was some talk about why we call Howard our celebrity moderator, but I intend in this instance to upgrade him unilaterally. He is now our Superman moderator. He sailed in at the last minute to help us with the lineup. The lineup is of very, very funny people, is in many ways sprang full formed from Howard's teaming and also very funny brain. Howard in his real life is the longtime director of publicity for C-SPAN. Although sad to say, C-SPAN is not an institution that's all that funny, at least not on purpose. Howard's also written a wonderful book called When Rabbis Bless Congress, The Great American Story of Jewish Prayers on Capitol Hill, which is also not funny exactly, but is brilliant and will make you think completely differently about rabbis and Capitol Hill. It was also at one time, I'm proud to say, a Jewish Study Center presentation. And from this point of view, we hope, we along with the rest of America are eagerly waiting for Howard's next book, whatever he decides to focus on. Howard's done stand-up at DC Improv. He graduated from the University of Maryland. He has viewed Capitol Hill from many vantages, including MSNBC's Hotline, in addition to his own. And I am now going to turn over the proceedings to his sure hand so we can settle once and for all that chewy question: which is better, the latke or the hamantash? Take it away, Howard.
Thank you, Amy. And by the way, since you mentioned I'm with C-SPAN, I have to say we don't take sides at C-SPAN. So I agree with you that you are the president of the Jewish Policy Center. I also agree with Jerry that you were the vice president of the Jewish Policy Center. So I just want to say that. Thank you, everybody, for joining and for once again including me. Welcome, everybody. What a great audience. Welcome to the annual Max Tickton Memorial Latkes Hamantash Debate, sponsored once again, as Amy and Jerry said, by the amazing folks who run the Jewish Study Center, and it's the all-volunteer Jewish Study Center. We're so glad you've joined us for a great night of fun, and absurdity. I'm Howard Mortman. This is my 5th straight year moderating this debate. Now, I'm no septuagenarian, as the kids say, but 5 years. Wow. Although, to be honest, it feels more like 5 years. Now, I have to say right at the beginning, I'm so happy and well relieved that the Jewish Study Center asked me to return as moderator. To be honest, I was getting nervous that they wouldn't ask again. You see, Amy Schwartz, our host tonight, who you met just now, is the author of a wonderful new book called, and I'm serious about this, the title is Can Robots Be Jewish? Totally serious, that's the title, Can Robots Be Jewish? Which had me worried. This year, would she actually pull the trigger and, for moderator, go with artificial intelligence? Frightened at the prospect, I went onto the chat box run by Microsoft Bing to run a test. And I asked Microsoft Bing, do you know any good jokes I can tell to open the Purim Latke Hamantash debate? And the chat box replied, have a good time at Yom Kippur brunch. So it looks like we're safe for now. It has a bit more fine tuning to do. My only instruction from Amy for tonight, keep my opening material short and timeless. I'm thinking, great, there goes my entire Impeach Earl Warren set. Tonight will be amazing. We reached a couple of incredible milestones with tonight's debate. First, and this is big, our carbon footprint. We finally reached net zero emissions. That's right, our carbon footprint in this debate is now squeaky clean, unlike those wasteful, uncaring folks who run next month's horseradish versus shankbone debate. And of course, when I say shankbone, you all say, you're welcome. Oh, another milestone, this is our first debate during the dominance of TikTok. So you'll understand why all our presenters tonight will be speaking Mandarin. Oh, for the record, I'm not making fun of the Chinese. I love our Chinese overlords. I love their food. In fact, when I go to a Chinese restaurant, I always order my favorite dish of all time. What's it called? Oh, that's right. It's called number 4. Yeah, I'm just a low main on the totem pole. Everything now is plant-based. What's next? Plant-based latke? Plant-based hamantash? I hear they're even coming out with plant-based salad, which is good. This is good. My grilled beef skewer makes too much noise. Next time I order the shush kebab, Foods are getting so exotic. They're getting so exotic foods. I tried alligator once. It was all right. It tastes a little like crocodile. And I'm so glad we're debating latkes or hamantaschen, so much better than debating rice or roni. I always take the roni side. Oh, here's another really good thing. The annual Latka Hamantaschen debate has now been designated a safe space for diversity of opinion. Our pronouns are Latka and Hamantaschen. In fact, this is interesting. In fact, in the spirit of the Purim season and reflecting our growth as a society, they just renamed Haman High School. It's now Happy Justice High School. If you've attended this debate before, did I just Jerry, did I just unmute myself here? Am I still good to go?
Something
right.
happened, I don't know what happened, but you're
All right,
you're
okay.
good.
Where was I? My jokes here. All right. For everything, boy, these days everything gets upgraded, don't they? For instance, this debate remains free to attend, but if you want the good jokes, you need to upgrade to our premium service, Latkes Plus and Hamantaschen Pro. Everything gets upgraded now, even Bedouin tents. I hear Bedouin tents are now Bedouin tents and suites. And this is interesting. To be consistent with new Israeli law, whichever side wins tonight, the Knesset can overturn the decision. By the way, it's okay. Thank you, Jerry. By the way, it's okay for you to be on your cell phone. As you know, to properly operate a cell phone, you need a working SIM card. Or if you're in Israel, you need a SIM Shalom card. I know, more blasphemy. Well, more blasphemy, more blast for you. And just like we see every day in the US Congress, tonight we're going to have a civil, productive, and intellectually high-minded debate. And just like Congress, when we vote on the winner, it will take 5 days and 15 votes. Actually, I work at C-SPAN, so not only do I have to stay neutral throughout the debate, I can't tell political jokes. This is probably the safest one I can get away with. Here you go. I love those service areas on the New Jersey Turnpike. You know those rest stops? My favorite one is the one named after Grover Cleveland. You've seen that one? Talk about obscure presidents. The funny thing is, you can go to the rest stop named after Grover Cleveland, then you get back in your car, drive a bit more, skip the next rest stop, then the one after that is also named for Grover Cleveland. I know, Grover Cleveland jokes too soon. And then you get to New York, Broadway. These Broadway revivals, have you seen them? They're getting out of hand. They keep twisting the original plot. I went to see a revival of Oklahoma. They kind of missed the point. It's about Kansas. I'll tell you, I grew up in a tough neighborhood. Boy, was it tough. I remember my school play. It was a musical adaptation of Birth of a Nation. All right, let's get to the debate. We've been doing this debate over Zoom for the last few years. In the early days of COVID, as you likely remember, we lost our sense of smell and our sense of taste. Tonight, we're just happy we still have a sense of humor. At the end of tonight's event, you may get an email with a subject line, "How did we do?" Please tell our Chinese overlords we did great. All right, now it's showtime. A secret about comedy, the comedy business. It's an age-old tradition to put the lousiest acts first, which is why I'm here. That way, all the following acts are hilarious by comparison. Well, tonight's lineup needs no such help. They're all wonderful people. And I was thrilled, Amy mentioned this, I was thrilled they all immediately said yes. As soon as I told them we validate parking. These are top shelf, top notch, top of the line, funny people. Some support latkes, some support hamantaschen, and George Santos supports lasagna. So on behalf of the Jewish Studies Center, sit back, relax, and enjoy tonight's annual Mac Tickton Memorial Latkes Hamantaschen debate. Kicking us off in the first spot, Walter Shapiro. Walter Shapiro for the pro-Hamantaschen side. Walter Shapiro, a writer at the New Republic, a columnist for Roll Call, and a lecturer in political science at Yale, is getting ready to cover his 12th presidential campaign. Before COVID and President Trump, he performed stand-up comedy at leading New York City clubs, often with Matt Cooper, sometimes with laughs. Walter's idea of adventure is crossing West 86th Street in Manhattan, sometimes even against the light. Please give a warm Latkes Hamantaschen debate welcome to Walter Shapiro.
Thank you. Let me begin by saying, who am I? Why am I here? As political junkies know, that's how James Stockdale, Ross Perot's running mate, began his 1992 vice presidential debate. But Stockdale, who was referring to Stoic philosophy, because Stoicism got him through his years in a Vietnam prison camp. I, on the other hand, I'm genuinely bewildered. Being here, I feel like Lauren Boebert in the final round of Jeopardy. Until yesterday, I hadn't eaten Hamantaschen or latkes in 20 years. I easily get Purim confused with Simchas Torah and Sukkot. My last encounter with religious Judaism was when I covered Joe Lieberman's presidential campaign. And all I can say is only in America. I volunteered to take the Hamantaschen side of this debate because I had a dim memory of eating brown hockey pucks, which were rather greasy, at the Second Avenue Delicatessen in New York, maybe 20 years ago. But this time around, I arranged for everything to be catered by my local institution, Barney Greengrass, the Sturgeon King, who is right around the corner here on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. And he provided everything. He provided the Hamantaschen with both poppy and prune fillings, which were quite good, although, let's be honest, a little dry. And then, just so I could work on my attack videos, my attack lines, I asked for latkes. And he, with the help of my wife, Meryl, rushed hot latkes to my table. And I braced myself for hockey pucks. But these were glorious. These were sensual little bits of fried potatoes with the latest golden crust. I was smitten. It was a revelation. In fact, it was an entire book of revelations. But I promised to take the Hamantaschen side in this debate. And I'm not a Benedict Arnold who can change sides in the middle of a war. I'm not even a Kirsten Sinema who can be mercurial just for the sake of being mercurial. So I was presented with a true moral dilemma. How do I bring down latkes, a glorious food that I had tragically misunderstood? Luckily, I've spent decades covering politics, which means that I am a master of the viciously irrelevant attack ad. I can almost see the TV spot beginning with an ill-focused, grainy picture of misshapen latkes. Then we hear the voice of doom narration. Latkes, wrong for America, wrong for the Jews, wrong for the world. And then in tiny script on the screen will be the words, paid for by the Global Hamantaschen Trust. I was missing context. It worked, but it didn't fully work. I needed the hook. What I really needed was what Anton Scalia might have called original intent. So to learn something about Purim, I rushed to another store in my neighborhood, up West Side Judaica. I'm sure there's one in every neighborhood in America. Yesterday, Saturday, I raced over there to buy a book on Purim, and yet they were somehow locked up tight. And there's a little sign about the Sabbath. I don't know. Here it is, the biggest shopping day of the week, and they are closed. They say Jews really understand business. I'm a little dubious. Luckily, Wikipedia works a 7-day week, doesn't take days off for things like the Sabbath. So I quickly learned about the book of Esther in the reign of the Persian king Xerxes, roughly 2,500 years ago. That was my eureka moment, even though eureka came about 200 years later. What are latkes made of? Potatoes. And potatoes, according to my friend, Mr. Wikipedia, again, were not introduced to Europe until the 16th century. That unalterable fact opens up 3 possibilities, 2 of them highly unlikely. Number 1 option, the Mayans were the lost tribes of Israel. Option number 2, the Jews secretly brought latkes, potatoes, to the New World and then hid it from everyone for 2,000 years, which might have encouraged a little anti-Semitism. Or the third possibility, the real hard one, latkes are a fake option. They are fraudulent. They have no connection to Jewish religious history, either Purim or Hanukkah. They are, to coin a phrase, a fake food. As we know, Jews crave authenticity. Nobody, not even Netflix that owns the Roald Dahl estate, wants to suggest adding a bit of yeast to matzah Purim at Passover, so it's a little more doughy and rise. We got to work on that line. In similar fashion, no one to make Passover more modern suggests maybe a Marvel comic character will read the 4 questions. And let's be honest, we really prize authenticity. For example, Hamantaschen, which I'm in favor of, are made in the shape of Haman's hat, his 3-cornered hat, which is laid out in the Bible because the Bible is exceedingly meticulous about describing fashion-forward headgear. So there I was, latkes the fraud. And if you're going to make stuff up, let's go a bit further. Why not make mushy pork a staple of the Passover dinner? Or dig into a big bowl of spaghetti carbonara at Shavuos? Why stop at latkes, potatoes that arrived in the 16th century? So let me end with a meticulously fact-checked attack ad. And this is a script. You don't have to be Jewish to love latkes. In fact, it's far better if you're an Aztec. Latkes are the Trump steaks of Hanukkah. Latkes, fake food for 205, fake food. Oh, boy, am I caught up in myself here. Can't even do numbers. Latkes, fake food for 2,500 years. Go Hamantaschen. Thank you.
Outstanding. Wonderful, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, that was a great Walter Shapiro. For the first time, I think, Walter, that was the first time we've heard the term or the name mushy pork being used in our debate here. So thank you for once again setting new precedents. Walter, thank you. That was wonderful. We're going to move on to our second contestant, our second debater now, taking the opposite side from Walter for the pro-Latka side. Joining us from Philadelphia is Rabbi Seth Frisch. Rabbi Frisch is founder and director of the Lehrhaus Institute of Jewish Studies. He's director of the New Shul of America, and he's a former staff member of the U.S. Senate Committee on Foreign Relations. Now, this is interesting. Rabbi Frisch is conservative. His wife is Reform, and she's a Reform rabbi, and their son is an Orthodox rabbi, which we all believe is the only family in America, I think, with rabbis in the family representing the 3 major denominations of Judaism. So with that, Rabbi Frisch, thank you for joining us. Please, everybody, welcome from Philadelphia, Rabbi Seth Frisch.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. One of the things I just want to say, Howard, when you were introducing me, you said that Rabbi Frisch is conservative. So I just want to say that I'm largely conservative in terms of the religious movement. So I would like to clarify that. Thank you. Well, I don't even know where to begin after listening to Walter impugn probably the most traditional of Jewish foods known throughout the history of Judaism. And even though we have this Hamantash connected to the book of Esther, there's no connection in the book whatsoever. And if you know anything about Hamantash, and they're a completely concealed, as you would say, snack. The ingredients are hidden inside, and you have to ask yourself, why are they hidden? What's the purpose of being hidden? A potato latke is right out there. You know exactly what's sitting there. You know exactly what all the senses. You can smell the potato latke. You can feel the heat, if you will. You can see what's there. Now let's look at that lonely, that hidden, that Esther-like, Hamantash. Let's think about it. The original Hamantash in the Ashkenazi tradition, which many of us derive from, that original Hamantash, let's be really clear about it. What's hidden inside? I think we all know it's the mun. Now, those of you who are Yiddish speakers or just knowledgeable about Judaism in general, know that mun is poppy seeds, which are, many will say it's just an incredible delicacy. And that was the original filling somewhere along the spectrum of Jewish history. But I think we all know that when you eat a hamantash with mun in it, you're not to go driving afterwards for fear that you might be picked up by the local police, blood tested, and then turn out to have some type of foreign drug that's been concealed in this hamantash before you even went out with it. You know what poppy seeds lead to. I don't think I need to enumerate all the dangers involved for the youth of America, let alone those from an earlier generation, Walter. I think what you've done is you've impugned the potato that it knows its identity, and we know its identity, and we know it's a Jewish food. And by the way, I should just mention, for those of us who are born after the war, and I assume you know which war I'm talking about, the greatest generation of the baby boomers, we grew up eating the most traditional foods in probably the most patriotic setting that the history of Jews has ever known. Those of you may know that the hamantash is really, it's a French fry, right? It's a French fry, or some would say it with the small c or the large c. But those of you who know, French fry has been renamed the freedom fry. It's patriotic. Those of us who are merged from two different civilizations, the Jewish civilization, the American civilization, you know that French fries are the most valued of all the food groups. There's proteins, there's fats, there's carbohydrates. People argue over which one is which. Those of us who stick with French fries, and I know there are people who will eat they'll eat the potato latke, right? They'll eat the potato latke with applesauce. They'll eat the potato latke with sour cream, depending whether it's fleshig or milchig. It could go either way. It goes with all things. It's not like a red wine or a white wine. It goes with all things, depending on the toppings. But for those of us who've grown up in the American experience, Walter, before you impugn this from any direction, you know that the proper coating, the extra for a real potato latke has got to be the American ketchup of 57 varieties. I just want to go on record as that. And I know that you might find that blasphemy, but you did talk about other foods that don't make it to the culinary kosher list of acceptable foods in the Jewish tradition of any possible tradition of American Judaism. So I want to say, look, debates are as American and Jewish as apple pie, and I will say the latke. We have Coke versus Pepsi. We have French fries versus tater tots and hot dogs versus hamburgers. But hands down, the potato latke wins 100%. And as a former staffer of the Committee on Foreign Relations, I just want to say one thing, looking worldwide now, after I've looked at America. Let us remember, Benedict Arnold, Walter, wore a tri-cornered hat. So don't tell me about patriotism there. So I just want to be really clear. When I look out on the world the stage of the world right now, and I look at someone like the current czar of Russia, from whence many of us came, not all. I look at him and what do I see there? I see a tri-cornered face, and I know that hamantash is the very symbol of evil, even now in 2023. And then when I look at Zelensky, one of our very cousins, one of our own, I look at him, I see a nice, round, fluffy, Ashkenazi, latke-like face, and I know whose side we're all on. So I just want to say, whether nationally, historically, internationally, latkes, hands down, they are the food of the Jewish people in our era. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi Frisch. I do, after your sermons, do people normally applaud? Because I think we all should applaud for you after.
I usually getting a sitting O. Just saying.
All right, great. Ladies and gentlemen, that was a great Rabbi Seth Frisch of Philadelphia. Thank you, Rabbi Frisch, for taking the pro-latke side. Now, this is huge. This is really an honor. We have participants in our conversation tonight from Washington, from Philadelphia, from New York. So it seems like all wisdom only comes from the Acela corridor, right? Well, no, we have a very wise person join us. We're truly excited. Joining us from Atlanta, Georgia, on the Zooms here, Representative Esther Panich. Esther Panich is the only Jewish member of the entire Georgia House of Representatives. She is introducing Jewish concepts and values to her fellow legislators, and she's introducing us tonight as well to the pro-Hamantashen side. Esther, thank you for joining us. Take it away.
Thank you so much for having me. Hello, everybody. And of course, my name is Esther. I'm going to lean into this holiday. So I took my finest jewelry. You'll notice the nice earrings. And I took my mother's gold gown that she left when she was in Atlanta last time. And I know my mother is on the Zoom. So thanks, Mom. Sorry, I didn't warn you I was going to be wearing your gown, but here it is. It's getting some use. So thank you. So as a lawmaker, I must look at empirical evidence. And studies have shown that the secret to happiness is the ability to make choices, but within a limited structure. And that's literally what making Hamantashen is all about. And actually, the rabbi just made my point, because when he started talking about French fries and ketchup, he just went off the derech and really showed how far afield the slippery slope can go when you don't live within some level of structure. Hamantashen, you have the three sides and you have a filling. That's it. Latkes, ketchup. Who would have, in their lifetime, would have thought there'd be a third option for a dip to put your latke in? Sour cream, applesauce, ketchup. Ketchup. I dare any of you to put ketchup out at your next Hanukkah party and see what happens. It's the end of civilization as we know it. I kid you not. As the queen, I say, no, absolutely not. The Hamantashen, why is it so great? Because it's really aggressive in a cookie form. It is as close, in the South, we say bless your heart when we really don't like someone. The Hamantashen is a bless your heart in cookie form. How much better does it get? Latke is just oil and potatoes and maybe you get an onion in it. But a cookie that's sweet and delicious, and at the same time, you're just eviscerating your enemy. Ugh, it's like a chef's kiss. You can't get that with a latke. I'm more of a person of the people. I'm not so much so cerebral as some of our other esteemed guests. So let me just get down to the point. Latkes, it feeds our addiction to foreign oil. We can't live like that. Saudi Arabia, the rest of the Middle East, who has not made peace with Israel, we can't keep funding them. And that's all it is. Obesity, come on, all this oil, we can't. Not good for our hearts. It's terrible. Hamantashen is a wonderful thing. It doesn't show up on drug tests, just so you know. I am a criminal defense attorney in my day job. So I can tell you, I've had plenty of clients who've had poppy seeds and not tested positive. So that's kind of like a fake argument over there. But Hamantashen, if you believe in the American dream, if you believe in life, liberty, and happiness, in health, in Judaism, in Georgia, and America, Hamantashen is really your only choice. I mean, really, ketchup? You made my argument. I'm done.
Esther, thank you. That was wonderful. Round of applause for Esther, please. That was wonderful. And as I have to say, I'm going to break character here for a second here. I know you're facing a lot of serious issues in Georgia, and you're championing for the community. Thank you for that. But even more, thank you for joining us tonight and having a little fun with us tonight. That was absolutely wonderful. And you played up to Queen Esther and more than just a member of the Georgia House of Representatives. So thank you. Once again, Esther Panich from Georgia joining us. We're now going to go to our fourth and final participant tonight for taking the pro-Latke side. So we have two for Hamantashen, now our second for the pro-Latke side. The great Matt Cooper, the great Matthew Cooper. Matthew Cooper is executive editor of the Washington Monthly and has covered the White House and politics for Time Magazine, the New Republic, Newsweek, and others. I have to say, outside of his biography, Matt always makes me laugh. So Matt, please take it away. And everybody, please give Matt Cooper a warm Latke Hamantashen debate welcome.
Thank you, Howard, and thanks everyone for being here. First, let me just, in an ecumenical note, let me note that Purim and Hanukkah, Passover, they're part of the tradition of Jewish holidays in which our people escape annihilation or massacre, and we commemorate them with prayer and a new food group. So there's a lot in common here. We shouldn't stress only differences. There are things we share. But almost 60 years ago, Barry Goldwater running for president, and at the time he was considered a right-wing nut. Today we would think of him as kind of an old school moderate Republican. Barry Goldwater had a phrase in his campaign: in your heart, you know he's right, which meant there may be arguments for why it's not a good idea to lob a nuclear weapon into the men's room of the Kremlin, but in your heart, you might think he was right. And I think this applies also to the Latka. I think really, in your heart, you don't think this is really a close call. And I'm not impugning the integrity of those on the other side here, but I think if we all look deep within ourselves, we have a choice between savory, salty, crispy, and that's before you get to the sour cream or applesauce, versus what is ultimately a kind of transgressive pastry. It's neither cake nor cookie. I don't think the two can really be compared. Now, I'll say they're both interesting holidays. There's that old joke that Hanukkah celebrates the incredible miracle of thinking your gas tank is empty, but you actually have an eighth of a tank left. There was oil to keep going. Now, Purim is is not, I wasn't going to say more interesting, but it's an intriguing holiday. It's got a very martial quality to it, right? I mean, the Latka is more about commemoration, right? We're putting oil into it's oil as a cooking medium. It's just sort of enough to commemorate Hanukkah. Whereas Hamantashen is fairly graphic, sometimes called Haman's ears, or directly mimicking what tricorner hat he may have worn. It's a more it's I wouldn't say vengeful, but it's a more martial holiday than Hanukkah, and thus a more martial cookie than the Latka. By the way, if I may digress a second, really the ideal Latka, and I've spent a lot of time eating over the last few decades, really the ideal Latka is made with as little matzo meal as possible. But basically, you've got to shred the potatoes in a box grater. You've got to get all the moisture out. Yes, and I recognize potatoes are an Andean tuber from below the equator, but not very good about particulars. You have the eggs, and then just enough matzo meal to keep it bound. Now, I think one also needs very finely minced white onion, and I believe in a little bit of parsnip as well. And then you fry them in olive oil, but not too hot a pan, not too cool. It's a hard balance. And then topped with just a touch of chives and kosher salt, and then toppings galore. I believe, and I haven't spoken to him, but I believe Prime Minister Netanyahu would probably be pro Hamantashen, in that baritone voice of his. There will be, we make no apologies for Israel's security, and we make no apologies for a cake cookie that can often be stale. This is really the only way to secure the security and have a real peace. We will make it clear to Iran, we will fight you with poppy seeds and prune. Okay, there's a reason you don't hear a lot of Bibi shtick out there. So I feel confident that as you go to the ballot box in these next few minutes and look deep in your heart, you know the answer here. And I trust you'll do the right thing. And I thank you for listening.
Matt, I think that that's not only this is the first time we've had a Bibi Netanyahu impression in this debate. It's the first any impression I believe has been done to argue a point. So thank you for doing that. I'll tell you, when we opened the debate with a mention of James Stockdale, and we closed the debate with a mention of Barry Goldwater. That's my kind of Latka Hamantash debate. You just don't get any better with that. So thank you, Matt. That was wonderful. Thank you to all of our participants tonight for a great debate. Our next bit of business, and Jerry and Amy, I'm going to look to you because I think the outcomes are audience participation, where everybody gets to vote. And Jerry is so good at this. He's already put the untitled poll up there, and untitled poll is what we that's where you kind of, I don't need to over explain this one, do I? Please vote in the untitled poll, and it's which do you favor? And Jerry and Amy, as we are voting, I want to see if maybe any of our 4 participants want any closing words or crosstalk or responses. You don't feel obligated to, but as Jerry is tabulating this, does anybody of our 4 members of the panel?
I just want to mention to Esther that, you know, it really is your day, but I want you to know that the ad hominem attack against ketchup was really below the belt, you know, number one. And number two, I just want to mention one other thing, that should you need any help down in Georgia, we would all relish helping you. We would feel it's a must on our part.
Rabbi Fritz, that was great. And by the way, when you say ad hominem attacks, you think ad hominem for
Hamantashen, it's an ad
Exactly.
Hamantashen.
Yes, I got it.
Maybe hominy.
And yeah, thank you very much, Rabbi.
If anyone has not voted, I just want you to remember the horror of the ketchup. It is without a doubt one of the most traumatic events of my life. I'm probably going to years of therapy to recover. I prefer my latkes with sour cream. So if you have to vote, think ketchup and recoil.
Interesting.
Maybe the most blood spattered Latka Hamantash made of my memory.
I don't know
Walter,
that
should
we can't vote. I can't seem to vote.
Should we vote? Aren't we supposed to be? Well, you guys can vote. No?
Walter, we have to bring you on one year for our ketchup a vegetable debate if we want to relive the early 80s.
I do think, can you hear
You're
me?
biased. You
Howard?
can't vote.
Howard, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, loud and clear, Rabbi.
So I do think we would be remiss, especially as a rabbi, I think we would be remiss if we did not mention sufganiyot, the rather donut-like small cake that really is in the middle ground, both sweet on the inside with the fillings on the one hand, and yet fried on the outside. So somewhat representing the middle ground that we would all like to achieve, since we are all at the same table, if you will. And we all are in a celebratory way commemorating what I think Walter introduces somewhat to in the very beginning, and that is the history of the Jewish people has been one in which, if I could sum it up and very briefly, one in which they tried to kill us, and for better or for worse, they lost, and we are still here, and they're literally left on the ash heap of history. And the great miracle, if you will, of the oil is that in spite of it all, we're all here to enjoy all of these holidays and each other within one community dedicated to the ideas and the principles of the Jewish tradition, and all of our friends who choose to join with us. And that's the only thing I can say about this as a rabbi, and add that I agree. I completely agree that the Hamantash is a great food. I agree. But I think our middle ground should really be united around the sufganiyah. That's just an opinion. It's a feeling. That's all.
I would vote yes on that, Rabbi.
Thank you. And I'm with you.
Stealth candidate, third party.
I think the
Well,
short
I
and
wasn't
real
going to
label-
agree, but I wasn't going to agree, except for that comment I made about relishing earlier on. The same.
I think the short version is they tried to kill us or enslave us. They failed. Let's see.
That's right.
Yes.
That's the issue.
Jerry, so I'm seeing.
I'm trying to share the results of the polling. Not sure it worked or not, but anyway, 58% favor the latkes, 42% the Hamantashen. So
Ooh,
latke Latka, as usual, wins.
Well,
The people have
I was
spoken.
going to say, out of the
Damn
last
right.
70 years, first of all, there's no recount here. It's not a fake voting. I just want to be clear about that. And I really appreciate everything, Jerry, that you've done in order to tabulate this honestly, without any, voter fraud that I'm aware of. I'm scared that the My Pillow guy might come on here and challenge our results. I really don't want to see him or hear him anymore. But one thing that is very important, and I think we should all know this, is that potato latkes have won hands down for the last 70 years in every one of these debates. And I think we have just to recognize, a fact is a fact. You can call it anything you want, but a fact is a fact. And there, Matthew, I hope that you agree that there should be no outside interference by any other country, any other people, any other place in what is really a sacred Jewish debate as to which is not only the finest food, but which foods do we include on our table, on our smorgasbord, if you will, on our Shabbos table, on our holiday table. Which foods do we include? We acknowledge them all, and we love everyone who comes to our table. Jerry, that's what I want you to know.
By
All
the
I
way,
know
Rabbi,
is that
you were
Karen
saying
Lake
that
has advised me
supermarket-
that in 7 years of a rigged debate, the fact is that every time Hamantashen loses, isn't that a little suspicious?
It is.
One-sided elections only happen in Joe Biden's America.
Walter, I just want to say that I understand that the My Pillow guy has come out with a new type of pillow, and he says it's ironclad, and no one can know its secret sauce ingredients, and it's completely sequestered, and we'll never know about it. And that to me is a little suspicious, but that's as far as it goes.
Rabbi, you were saying that the Sukkot is sort of in between the latkes and the Hamantashen. But what I did last year, I made Hamantashen out of bialy dough. So it's kind of like Ashkenazi and Sephardic at the same time.
So for a real next generation debate, that the bialy hamantashen should go up against the Matt Cooper recipe for hamantashen, which is very,
Bialy bagel is really good.
yeah, for latkes rather. Which
I think, Esther, or Amy, if that was you, it's important to recognize that in each holiday, you can be bialy, or you can bialy, or you can be yourself, or be what the holiday is called for. And the holiday coming up right now is called for Hamantashen, let's agree. But I think we should all recognize that come Passover, which is approximately a month afterwards, many of us are going to be eating American-produced flat, square sheets of matzah. And so I think historically, and Matthew, you might agree with me on this, historically, the matzah that first came off those rollers in the American tradition, the mashgiach was blind. I don't know if this is a historical fact, Howard, you might want to write about this. The Manischewitz mashgiach was blind, and they handed him the first sheet. I should say he's optically challenged, but they handed him the first sheet of matzah, and he held it in his hands and smelled it, and it smelled delicious, and he ran his hands over it, and he asked that proverbial Jewish question, who wrote this crap? So I just want to make sure that we all understand that every holiday, every food has its own idiosyncrasies, its own backstories. But again, we're all in this together. And for this holiday right now, the Sufganiyah might be our compromised position.
I just want to say that I've had a request from the floor, specifically to the Georgia politician, to ask if she can possibly find 11,000 extra votes for the Hamantash.
No, definitely not.
A free pillow goes to every new vote.
No.
Hey, Jerry, we have a question. Or Matthew B wants to
That was a good
raise his
question.
hand violently. Can you, Matthew B, you have a question? I can unmute you, I think.
I just want to make a comment. I voted for Hamantashen for personal reasons. Me and my great grandfather and my bubby made some together using chocolate. That's the reason why.
Very nice. Very nice, Matthew. Isn't it time for you
Sounds
to
like a
time
wonderful
right now? I want you to know, everyone, Matthew is my bar mitzvah student, and I'm going to say, Matthew, that's your last question if you want to get bar mitzvah this year. So keep yourself on mute, and we appreciate the fact that you came on, but as they say in Far Eastern countries, sheket baklava, okay? All right, okay.
All right. Amy, I guess I'm going to throw it to you unless we have any order more business, or Esther, did anybody else have any final words before Amy, I guess you will close this out. That works out. I just want to thank everybody. This was so much fun. You all said that yes at the last minute here. Esther joined us from Georgia, and Matthew and Rabbi Frisch and Walter, and just big heap fun tonight. So thank you all. I always want to go off script here. This is such a great cause, the Jewish Study Center. Again, all volunteer. Jerry and Amy and many others, just their purpose is to teach and education. Jerry mentioned at the beginning donations, and Amy said as well. They're wonderful people, and it's out of their heart they're doing this. So a lot of fun. Let's keep it going. Thank you all for coming to the audience. Amy, it's all yours now.
Well,
Jerry.
Amy, let me take over a little bit. I want to thank all of you, all 5 of you, and especially the one who's been here 5 times, Howard. It's always been fun. And this is March now, sort of beginning of March. We're going to have 2 more classes in March. On Wednesday, March 22nd, we're going to have a class about Passover. Passover's coming, about how to prepare your Seder. So that's really fun and exciting. And then the week after that, on Thursday, March 30th, I believe it is, we're going to have a class about Jewish summer camps, which is a way of helping kids like Matthew and other people learn more about Judaism, actually. So I hope to see many of you on March 22nd for the Passover Seder preparation class, and March 30th about Jewish Study Center, about Jewish summer camps. And again, thank you all for the presentation. And Amy, I apologize for saying you're vice president. Usually Mindy does it, and she's vice president. So I made my error.
Not at all.
Let's just say what you want now. Okay, thank you all.
Okay, I just want to say we would all be remiss if we didn't thank Amy for everything that she's done, and again, that vice presidential piece. As a vice president, she's much more noticed and needed than other vice presidents we have in the current American scene. So I just want to make sure that we give her the proper respect and I dare say adoration for everything she does. So
But she's not the president for Vice now.
Right, no, I know that.
Well, Vice depends depending on how you define this. Which of these snack foods actually next year leads to Vice. Well, thank you, everyone. I don't want to step. Last thing I would ever do is step on Jerry or on Howard's wonderful wrap up. It's been a wonderful debate, really kind of more bare knuckles than usual, a lot of back and forth, much appreciated. Love to see some other journalists and, some of my former long ago colleagues. Hi, Matt. And thank you all. Go look at those classes that Jerry mentioned. And also have a very happy Purim and eat whatever you like.
And let me say in the end again, you will be getting a link to the recording in a day or so.
Nice. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks everyone again.
Thank you.
It's been great.
How do we get out of this?
I'm ending it all now.